everyone, and welcome to Friend Diagram. This is the podcast where two friends catch up and find common ground between their favorite media. I'm Remy.
I'm Kat, and today we will be discussing Dune Part 2, the 2023 Oscar nominees, and our first annual Frennies. Warning, spoilers ahead.
Kat, this is a huge episode for us.
I know.
We're starting traditions. We're celebrating huge achievements.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a big celebratory episode of Friend Diagram.
Yeah, we've been talking about the Frennies for weeks, and my anticipation has been building. I'm glad that we finally get to discuss the categories that you have so thoughtfully and carefully curated for the podcast listener.
I hope it lives up to your internal hype.
I'm sure it will. So yesterday, we both saw Dune Part 2. Do we want to start out?
First, we must discuss Dune Part 2.
Yeah, I've got so much energy about that, just pent up.
If you listened to our episode last week, we celebrated Dune Part 1, the 2021 film directed by Denis Villeneuve, and we celebrated that as an anticipatory event leading up to the release of Dune Part 2, which we both saw yesterday. And I mean, I'll let you take it away, Katz, and then I'll tell you my reaction.
Sweet. Yeah, I mean, I was stunned. The movie ended and I was shaking, and I was so excited. I felt very similarly to how I imagine you felt after Poor Things, where you were like, I just was so excited about cinema. And
yeah,
that's exactly how I felt after watching Dune Part 2. I honestly have no notes. It's a perfect film. Loved it. Adored it. Every second was fantastic.
I know. I think we had very similar reactions. I will say there was a moment in the first act where I was watching it and I was thinking to myself, I've never felt this alive in my life. I've simply never felt this alive. I feel so fucking alive right now.
Which moment?
When Paul rides the worm.
Yeah. The worm riding was incredible. I mean, so I read the book, and things like that are just so hard for my brain to kind of imagine, like what that would look like. And the film did a wonderful job depicting that.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to give like a little bit of context. If you didn't listen to our Dune Part 1 episode, Kat and I are two versions of your typical Dune viewer, in that Kat does know the books and I do not. So I'm always interested in seeing how our reactions to the films line up. But I mean, across the board, we're Denis guys till we die. So it's always going to be positive. But I do think it definitely adds nuance. So take it from a person who knows the books and a person who's never read a word of Dune. Dune 2 just fucking rocks.
It does. It does. Yeah.
Please tell me your list of things you wanted to highlight.
Yeah. And I will say that I liked it a lot more than I liked Part 1. I can appreciate Part 1 as a just cinematic, beautiful piece. But Part 2 was everything I felt like Part 1 lacked for me.
Interesting.
If you listened last week, you heard me kind of talk about my qualms with how Paul is depicted in Part 1. And I think we get so much more personality to Paul in Part 2. And I just loved every second of that. I think that you get to see him kind of be jokey and more like you get to see him have real friendships with people his age, which is lovely, and kind of build a relationship with Johnny. And yeah, I just thought that was lovely. I really loved his relationship with Stilgar. Stilgar's the funniest part of the film. He's so good. I loved when Stilgar is riding the worm and he like waves and they like have that interaction. It really reminds me of when people are out on a lake and someone goes by and they're like jet skiing or water skiing, and people from the shore are like waving at their friends and stuff. That was wonderful. I really loved the fighting sequences and the kind of battles. I usually find myself very bored when battles are happening on screen, but I think that they were very engaging, and I really liked the choice to not have a score during one-on-one fights.
Yeah.
Because you can hear like all of the sounds of the fight happening. That was a really great choice. And the last serious thing that I truly, truly enjoyed was that we got to see so much more of Princess Irulan than we get to see in the books. We meet her in the books in that last scene with her father, like very, very end game. But we get to see her interact with the Reverend Mother, and we get to see more of like the politics from that side. And I really enjoyed that. I thought that was a great addition by Denis and the screenwriters. And I thought that that was just an awesome choice.
Yeah, I love that she didn't just come out of nowhere, and she was seeded throughout the story from the beginning. Let's see. I mean, I haven't even begun to process everything I loved about Dune Part 2, but I would say things that really stood out to me that I can't wait to see again the next time I see it. Just wall-to-wall Zendaya's performance as Johnny is incredible, and I love that we got to see a much fuller picture of her in this film, and I think she rocked. I think she was my favorite performance and my favorite character in Dune Part 2, and I don't want to say more or give more away, but I just, she did such an incredible job, and there's many different elements of why I think her performance works really well. I loved the thermal camera sequence in the gladiator pit with Austin Butler's character. What the hell is his name again?
Fade Rotha. That was sick as fuck. That was awesome. What else? I also completely agree with you in terms of the battle and or combat scenes. I often also get bored and kind of tune things out when a fight scene happens in a movie, and I felt the opposite in this one. I felt there were actual stakes to the combat and the interactions, and things were hanging in the balance, and actual plot was being furthered by the outcomes that I was seeing, and felt extremely engaged in that the entire time. Yeah, and I think it's a huge feat to make a battle feel uncertain, even if you've read the book and you know the outcome. I was still like on the edge of my seat in the final battle, even though I knew what was going to happen. I was like, this is like so engaging and so well choreographed. Yeah, it was just awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about it more at length at some point, but I definitely want to see it again before that happens. Also, sure. I have to say, 1,000 points to me for booking the tickets in the Dolby Cinema room. It was fucking incredible.
Sweet.
I cannot recommend it highly enough. If you and Scott think you want to see it again in the cinema, I highly, highly, highly recommend the Dolby room at AMC Lincoln Square. It was the perfect introduction to that amenity, and extremely well suited for this film. I mean, the sound, overwhelming and incredible.
Yeah,
and
just
the
like
screen
really loud.
The screen's fucking huge too. It's not IMAX huge. It's obviously not an IMAX aspect ratio. It's a digital shape, but wow, it was incredible.
I'm glad you liked it so much. That's awesome. Yeah.
I think we should see Twisters there.
Oh my gosh, I would love that.
If they run it in that room, I think it'd be really fun, because we saw the Twisters trailer.
I know, I saw that.
before Dune Part 2, and I was like, I gotta see that in this room.
The theater we went to, also when we left, had screens, like by their concession stand, where they were playing just trailers on loop. And they played Monkey Man right as I walked out of the theater, and I was like, Monkey Man. Monkey Man. I also really enjoyed seeing this film in a theater, because, especially on opening weekend, because people are really excited about it. People are going because they like Dune, and they have been waiting for this, you know? And we went to the Rutgers little independent cinema. And so it was a lot of like undergrad dudes hanging out in there. And one of my favorite moments while we were watching it was when the Bene Gesserit say that Feyd-Rautha is sexually vulnerable. All of, like, a titter went through all of the guys in the crowd, and it was so funny. It was very, very, like, wholesome, goofy energy. So I really enjoyed that.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone clapped at the end. Did people clap at the end for yours?
Oh, God, I don't remember. I think because I don't want to say anything more. I think people didn't feel that the tone warranted clapping.
Interesting.
At the conclusion. But as an achievement, I think we were all clapping inside.
Clapping inside. Yeah, that's interesting. There was a guy sitting in front of us through the whole movie, and he turned around to us after the movie, and, like, we had a short conversation with him where he was like, this one's so much better than the 1980 version. Like, I love what they're doing with this character and how faithful it is to the novel.
When you're that excited and alive, you just want to share it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it was super exciting. And he was there alone, so it was nice to chat with him.
Yeah. Oh, and also I want to say, I was just absolutely amped. So excited when it opened with another blurb in the didgeridoo voice. And I was like, hell yeah, this is being carried through.
Yeah.
I love that. Open every film like this. I want this wisdom from the deep to kick off each film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a stellar film. Definitely go see it because it was a real accomplishment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Please see it in a theater. You must.
Yeah. So we've got the Oscars coming up next weekend, correct?
Yeah. This will come out just a few days before the Oscars on March 11th.
Yeah. Is that Sunday?
10th. March 10th, I mean. Yes, Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. So this comes out Friday. Get your Oscars prep here and then watch it. Or follow it. I don't know. I probably won't watch it.
I always just read the list after it's over. I'm not a big award show viewer.
Yeah.
I do love a good speech, though, so I'll watch a clip of that. But I'm not going to sit through 4 hours of commercials to see
really
something
that long?
happen live. I think it's quite long.
Wow.
I'm not an expert, but I think it's very long. So we're going to talk through our letterbox ballots for the I guess it's called the 2024 Academy Awards, but it's obviously awarding 2023 films. So I wish they had a better naming convention, but you guys know what we're saying.
Well, I'll kind of let you lead this because you've definitely seen more of the films on the ballot and just kind of have a better understanding of the way the Academy works. And yeah, I would trust your gut better than mine.
Oh, yeah. And also, this isn't my predictions. This is me choosing who I want to win. Which sometimes lines up, often does not. And obviously is limited to the actual nominees. I'm not, like, making up nominees here. That comes later. And I'm not going to go through every single category because some of them I just simply have not seen the materials, like for documentary or short film.
Yeah.
The first major category on the ballot is actor in a leading role. I would be perfectly happy with any of these people winning this year. I don't feel that strongly about it, but I think it would be really nice if Cillian Murphy won. I think he seems to be the front runner, but I feel relatively neutral about this category this year.
Yeah. Oppenheimer is the only film that I've seen from this category. The other nominees are from Maestro, Rustin, The Holdovers, and American Fiction. And unfortunately, I didn't get to the theater to see any of those. But Oppenheimer was amazing, and I think that Cillian Murphy was absolutely incredible in that role. So I wouldn't be mad at all if he won that category.
Yeah, I've seen all of these except for Rustin, and I like Coleman Domingo. He's great in a lot of stuff, but yeah, it seems like everyone would kind of be in agreement if Killian won. And also, he's just such a sweet guy. It's like, who could be mad at him for winning? The next category is actor in a supporting role. And so the choices are Sterling K. Brown from American Fiction, Robert De Niro from Killers of the Flower Moon, Robert Downey Jr. in Oppenheimer, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, and Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things.
Yeah, this category's stacked. It's just
so stacked.
Full of great people. I've seen 4 out of the 5 films, so I have a little bit of a better grasp on it, which makes actually choosing way harder.
Yeah, obviously.
If you've seen the films and not just one of the films, it makes choosing your top pick very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to go first on this one?
Sure. Yeah. I chose Mark Ruffalo because I thought that his commitment in Poor Things to that character was just fantastic. I really think that he just did an awesome job and he thought outside of the box. It's nothing I've ever seen him act. He's never acted a character like that before in my knowledge. So
not that I can think of.
Yeah, I thought it was just a great performance. So he would be my pick, but my second would be Robert Downey Jr. because I thought he was fantastic in Oppenheimer. But Mark Ruffalo just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I obviously loved Mark Ruffalo in Poor Things. I think it's a standout performance in his career, but I wouldn't be true to myself if I didn't choose Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I think for a role that could have been tremendously boring, he was enrapturing.
Yes.
And when I think of Oppenheimer, I think of his face, like full screen in black and white. His expressions saying so much with no words. Oh my God, his like repartee with everyone in that scene with the flower arrangement. Just everything, every second he's on screen, it's flawless and it is just such a powerhouse performance.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel so sad that we haven't been getting these every year for the past 10 years. And because it's like letting a thoroughbred racehorse like out of the stable for the first time in forever. And you're like, wow, this performance is incredible. And I wish we had more of them. But yeah, I just think he was so good. But obviously all of these nominees were very, very good. I think given the material, which is like markedly less fun than many of these options, he does the most with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, I loved his performance in that. When we did our Oppenheimer episode, we talked a lot about his performance and how amazing it was. And how I didn't know it was Robert Downey Jr.
I was just going to say how you didn't recognize him.
I was like, that guy looks so familiar. Who could he be?
Just a shoe salesman.
Just anyone. Any old average Joe.
All right. Next up, we have actress in a leading role. So we have Annette Bening for Naiad. I haven't seen Naiad. Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon, Sandra Huller for Anatomy of a Fall, Carey Mulligan for Maestro, and Emma Stone for Poor Things. Out of these, I've seen everything but Naiad, and these are all extremely good performances. I definitely would throw my full vote behind Lily Gladstone. I think she gives an incredible performance in Killers of the Flower Moon, and I especially want to spotlight her vocal work in her tonality. And I don't have great words to describe why I think her vocal work in this role is so good, but it's the tone with which she uses to deliver things, and just her voice itself is so perfectly pitched for a role that is this heavy and grounded. And I just think it was a really inspired choice to pitch the performance that way, among like many other inspired choices that she made in this performance.
Yeah. I mean, I'm absolutely in line with you here. Lily Gladstone is my pick for sure. And I just think that her performance is heartbreaking and evoked a lot of emotion from me. And I mean, yeah, it was just really fantastic. Mm-hmm. I don't really have words to describe exactly why. And it's been a long time since I've seen the film, but I just remember feeling like the tragedy of what was happening to her and her family very deeply as I watched her story unfold. And it was great. It was great acting, great filmmaking. So,
mm-hmm. Do you want to tell us about supporting actress?
Yeah. Supporting actress is the next category. And in this category is Emily Blunt for Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks for The Color Purple, America Ferrera for Barbie, Jodie Foster for Nyad, and Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. And my choice for this is America Ferrera. I really enjoyed her performance in Barbie. I really enjoyed the speech, the like monologue speech that she gave in Barbie, and I felt like she was really relatable. So I would choose her. I think a close second would be Emily Blunt, but I found Barbie like such a hopeful story, and it just like holds a special place in my heart. So mm-hmm. I think America Ferrera is definitely my choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say I'm gonna side with most of the awarding bodies of this season and go with Divine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers. I think she just gave a tremendous supporting performance there, and I'm really happy she's getting the recognition for it. Mm-hmm. And I don't think you've seen The Holdovers yet, so I don't want to describe too much about that role, because I think it's just best if you let the performance tell you. But yeah, I think she's really deserves all of the recognition she's getting, mm-hmm. and I'm glad she's like steamrolling everyone, basically. The next category, I'm skipping animated feature because I haven't seen any of those. I hope that's okay.
Yep.
So I'm skipping to cinematography, which is a category I'm fond of. Uh-huh. The first nominee is El Conde. I haven't seen that yet, which is just a failure on my part. It's available on Netflix, and I just haven't gotten to it. And then there's Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. And for this category, I'm really, really torn between Poor Things and Oppenheimer. Obviously, I'm so in the bag for Hoytema.
I know you are.
But the fucking lens work that mm-hmm. Robbie Ryan did, I hope that's the guy's.
Yeah, that's his name.
Triple check. Okay, yeah. That Robbie Ryan did with Poor Things, which is now available on digital. And so I can finally see like screenshots of everything. Mm-hmm. God, it was just so beautiful and so varied and really unique. Mm-hmm. I almost feel like I should disqualify myself from this because I didn't see Oppenheimer in IMAX yet, so I never saw it in the actual proper aspect ratio that mm-hmm. the frames are composed to. But I just love Hoyte so much that I'm picking him anyway. So I'm going to go with Oppenheimer for cinematography, but okay. I would not be angry at all if Poor Things won.
Yeah. Well, I'm picking Poor Things. So
yeah,
that's my vote.
So fair. Yeah.
I just thought it was so unique and visually distinct from anything I've ever seen. I think it deserves the award.
Yeah. Oh, both so good. Yeah. I mean, so spoiled to have two such incredible choices. I mean, all of these nominees mm-hmm. are great, but wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and Killers of the Flower Moon was beautiful too.
Excellent. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know who did the cinematography for that, but it was beautiful as well.
I think I know who, but I don't want to guess wrong. Mm. Let me verify. Oh yeah, it's Rodrigo Prieto. Mm. Yeah, that guy rocks. He also did Barbie, so really? Obviously he's got incredible range.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Costume design is one that I'm actually really excited about.
I thought you might be.
I am. And I bet you can guess which is my pick, but the nominees for this category are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. And if you've listened to our dedicated episode on Poor Things, you know that I'm obsessed with the costume design in it. I think it adds to that uniqueness, the otherworldliness of the story, and it was just impeccable. So that is definitely my pick.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I still haven't seen Napoleon, sadly, but I feel pretty confident I would be picking Poor Things either way.
Yeah, I just think it had a lot of room to be so creative, and
yes,
I think it
inventive.
needs to be rewarded. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. So the next one on the ballot is directing. I thought they would put that at the end for some reason, but it looks alphabetical now that I'm observing the whole thing. That doesn't matter. The nominees for Best Directing are Justine Triet for Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese for Killers of the Flower Moon, Chris Nolan for Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer for The Zone of Interest. I think all these people absolutely fucking crushed it in all of these films that they're nominated for. I think I would be remiss if I didn't select Christopher Nolan, though, just because the scope and the scale of this project and the incredible way he adapted the material into something that I found so stirring and just brought so many pieces together to work in one incredible symphony is a feat of directing that is unrivaled and should be recognized, and I hope that it is.
Yeah, I would be surprised if it wasn't. But my pick is Yorgos because I don't know, I'm biased about Poor Things.
Sure.
I think totally it should take every award home. I love it.
It was amazing. Cool.
Oh, do you mind if we just talk about the documentary category really quick? I've only seen one on this list, but so the next category is documentary feature. And the only documentary on this list that I've seen is 20 Days in Mariupol. But it was a very powerful documentary, and I think that it should get the award, even though I haven't seen any of the other ones, which isn't very fair. But
I know. I haven't seen any of them, and I'm still rooting for that just based on how you described it. So
yeah, it was very stirring.
You have our vote, our uninformed vote.
Yes.
But hopefully I will see it soon. All right. Then I'll skip to film editing, which is another category I really like, and I wish we talked about, not we, you and me, but people talked about more. Yeah.
Before we get into the nominees, do you just want to talk a little bit about what you know about film editing and why it's important?
Oh, man.
I think it's one of the less understood categories for, like, just a general audience, you know?
Sure. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we could dedicate a whole episode to what film editing is, but I think it is often overlooked. It's historically been really overlooked. And I mean, it is what it sounds like. It's how you cut the film together and how you pace it and how you structure it and what you show and what you don't show. And I think that, I mean, I'm also not an expert, but it can make or break a film entirely if you don't edit it right. And I'm always fascinated by directors that work hand in hand with editors for a long time and the relationships that they have. So, for example, Thelma Schoonmaker, who's nominated for editing Killers of the Flower Moon, she's been working with Martin Scorsese for decades, and she cuts all of his films. Yeah. And I think the way you structure a story, it certainly is established in the screenplay, but the final say is in the edit. And so whether a film works or not, I think very, very much comes down to the editing. And I really think that's something that should be recognized more. And maybe we should do like a dedicated episode on it where we talk about how it works a little bit more and why it's so important. And
I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, because I don't know anything, so you'll be teaching me.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'd learn a lot just by, trying to make a a cogent episode about it. The films that are nominated for editing are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. My pick is Oppenheimer. Unsurprisingly, I think Jennifer Lame did such an incredible job making that film fly by while building up all of these sustained emotional crescendos and intercutting information in a very complex pattern, as we have come to expect from a Chris Nolan film. But I think the way she intercuts all of the dialogue in the third act and juxtaposes that with the more straightforward action of the second act, I just love all of the decisions that she made, and I think a lot of what works about that film works because of her edit. And you could have a film like that absolutely drag, and to me, the energy, the propulsive energy that it contains and conveys to the viewer, a lot of that is through the edit and Jennifer Lame's work.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's also my pick, and mostly for the reason that it's a 3-hour film that doesn't feel like a 3-hour film at all. It, like you said, it flies by. It was amazing.
So the international feature films nominated are Il Capitano, Perfect Days, Society of the Snow, The Teacher's Lounge, and The Zone of Interest. And I've only seen a couple of these. I loved both of the ones that I saw, which were Perfect Days and The Zone of Interest. And I'm going to be rooting for The Zone of Interest because I think Jonathan Glazer is an incredible director. And I think this work should be recognized. And I've been telling you off mic that I've been dying to talk to you about The Zone of Interest, and I really want you and Scott to see it. I think Scott will particularly be very interested in it, but I don't want to give anything away until you guys have seen it. But I'm very much rooting for The Zone of Interest.
Yeah, that looked amazing. And I also really want to watch Perfect Days, so...
You should, yeah.
Yeah, your discussion of that a couple episodes ago really intrigued me, so those are both on my list. The next category is makeup and hairstyling, and the nominees for this category are Golda, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and Society of the Snow. And my pick for this was Poor Things. I think that there's a kind of extravagance and, the styling just in general is very extravagant. And I think that hair and makeup play into that as well. There are some really fantastic updos in this that are gorgeous.
Shout out to Martha.
Yeah, and I mean, Emma Stone has that long hair in this. So, yeah, I think that Poor Things deserves that as well.
Yeah, I don't feel super strongly about this category this year, so I went with Maestro just because they captured different ages for the characters.
Oh, that's a good point.
I thought there was also the added challenge of making it kind of period appropriate for mid-century America and then later on as well. So, yeah, I think I would be totally happy if Maestro won.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. The next category is music/original score.
Yeah, one of your faves.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what you'll pick for this one.
Oh, yeah. I was curious what I would pick too. The nominees are the scores for American Fiction, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. And while I'd be happy with several of these films winning, I ultimately chose Poor Things because I think Jerskin Fendrix's score was extremely original and really stood out on this list to me and really extremely complimented the film and added a lot to it, which isn't to take away from Johan Göransson's work on Oppenheimer. I think he'll probably win, but I think Jerskin Fendrix deserves accolades as well.
Yeah, I went with Poor Things as well. And I think the reason why is because Poor Things is a very memorable score for me. I don't really listen to scores in my free time, but I can't remember the score for Oppenheimer really. I'm sure it was great and I'm sure it added to the film, but I can't remember anything about it. Whereas I can distinctly remember a lot of how the score was used in Poor Things. So
okay, that makes sense.
A driving factor for me. Something's got to separate them, you know?
Sure.
The next category is music original song. And the nominees for this are The Fire Inside from Flaming Hot. I don't know what that one is.
It's about Cheetos.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were kidding.
No, I wish I was kidding.
I'm Just Ken from Barbie. It Never Went Away. American Symphony. Was Hazhe? Is that how you would say that? A Song for My People. Killers of the Flower Moon. And What Was I Made For from Barbie as well. And I mean, just for the sheer cultural penetrance of this song, I have to choose I'm Just Ken. There's no other winner for me.
I have the same winner, but it's because I genuinely love it.
Yes, but yeah. I don't know. I just loved that I was like seeing it everywhere and seeing people get really into it. I really enjoyed that.
That's my favorite part of the movie, so I hope it gets some recognition.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Next up is production design. And the nominees are Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, Oppenheimer, and Poor Things. And for me, I went with Barbie for this because I just kind of wanted to spread it around a little bit, and I think all of these production designs are outstanding, but I think Barbie's was the most different from all of these, and I think it should be rewarded for the practical nature of a lot of what they did, when they could have not done a lot of practical stuff. And so, I'm going to go with Barbie.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I went with Poor Things, just again for the unique nature of the art, and I think that should be recognized. I thought it was really gorgeous, so that's why I chose that. But I can absolutely see what you're saying about Barbie, because I think it was always going to be a huge challenge to translate that world into a film, and it was a massive undertaking for them. So yeah, that would definitely be my second choice, I think. Sweet. We're going to skip short films, I would assume. You're not a short film kind of gal, neither am I.
I'm just not up on these ones.
Yeah, so the next category is sound, and I feel like I don't have a great... Well, I guess I'll read the nominees. The nominees are The Creator, Maestro, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, Oppenheimer, and The Zone of Interest. And I feel like I don't have a really great feel for this category. I think that Remy has a better understanding of all of the aspects that go into sound, but obviously Oppenheimer is the only film that I've seen, so therefore it gets my vote. And I will say that the sound in Oppenheimer was incredible. I think that Christopher Nolan always has very unique sound in his films. And so I think that would be my pick regardless, but I'm just qualifying that I have not seen many of the films on that list.
I think this is the toughest choice for me on this entire ballot, actually, because there's two standout choices for me, which are Oppenheimer and The Zone of Interest. It's really tough for me because I think the sound in Oppenheimer is the best element of the best film of the year. But the sound in The Zone of Interest is so completely unique, and also the standout element of that film as well, which is also a very good film. So it's extremely, extremely challenging.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear the car alarm that's happening right now in my personal soundscape. I think on originality and impact, I would go Zone of Interest. Nice. But obviously, I love the sound in Oppenheimer more than anything in Oppenheimer, which is a huge compliment because everything in Oppenheimer is good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Next is visual effects. The nominees are The Creator, Godzilla -1, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and Napoleon. I'm not sure if you've seen any of these.
I haven't seen any of them. I have no votes.
I've seen 2 of them, and my pick is Godzilla -1, which I think is probably unsurprising, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been my guess.
My BFF Godzilla and me. Yeah, I'm going for Godzilla. I think I was thrilled to see this film nominated, and I loved the video of the Godzilla team hearing the news of their announcement. That's a very nice video. They have a bunch of Godzillas on the table watching the video of the nomination with them, which I just found really sweet. And so, yeah, I'll be rooting for Godzilla.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah, Godzilla -1 looked really cool. Just going off of trailers that I've seen, I think that The Creator probably has some promising visual effects as well. I've been intrigued and meaning to watch that for a while, so I don't know. Maybe that one.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that as well. I know it's on Hulu now, so yeah. I don't know what my problem is.
Yeah, so the next category is Writing Adapted Screenplay. And the nominees for Writing Adapted Screenplay are American Fiction, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. And I would say my pick for this category would be Oppenheimer, because they took a biography of a person and translated it into a really engaging and emotional film. And I think that that should be celebrated.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good choice. I think I'm actually going to go Poor Things on this one. I think even though a screenplay is much more than its dialogue, I thought Poor Things had the best dialogue of the year from an enjoyment perspective, I guess you could say. And I also just thought it was so inventive and creative. And I like all of these, but I guess if I had to choose, I'd choose Poor Things.
I think that's fair.
And the next category is Writing Original Screenplay. The nominees for that are Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, and Past Lives. And for this, these are all really strong choices. It was a tough call for me, but in the end, I went with Anatomy of a Fall because I think the structure of that screenplay is really incredible. And also it has extremely strong dialogue. So I think I would be really thrilled if Anatomy of a Fall was awarded, but I would probably be equally happy for May December as well, because the nuance of the characters captured in that film was exceptional as well. I think these are all excellent entries.
Yeah. I haven't seen any of these films once again.
Oh, man.
I know.
I wish you would see them all.
I know. I would say the top of my list for this would be May, December, and Past Lives. Those were the ones that I've been meaning to see, but I'm terrible.
And now the final category.
Yeah.
There's 10 in Best Picture, and they are as follows: American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. And my pick has not changed all year since I've seen it. It's Oppenheimer. I think it is an absolute impeccable achievement, and I'm not surprised at all that it is just steamrolling everyone in the awards circuit, and I hope it's rewarded as everyone is expecting it to be.
Yeah, that's my pick as well. Deep down in my soul, I would love to choose Poor Things.
I thought you might.
But I think that technically, Oppenheimer is the best film I've seen that year. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
All right.
All great films.
All great films.
Yeah. Congratulations, everybody.
Congrats on the nominations, all.
Mm-hmm. And now, get ready for some more nominations.
These ones are a little more interesting and original.
I've been waiting.
Welcome to the first inaugural Frennies.
Woo!
This is a unique award ceremony that we're having here, special to Friend Diagram, and it is composed of categories that I made up and nominated and selected winners from. And these are categories that I think should be at every award show. And some of them might seem familiar. Some of them, you might be like, hey, we should be talking about this.
I can't wait. I'm so excited.
I know. Do you want me to read you all the categories from the top, or do you want to be surprised each time?
No, I think I want to be surprised each time.
Okay. I have 8 categories.
Okay.
And I will be starting off with Best Cameo. Why don't we have this category? It's so good.
Okay.
You know who I would give it to every year if I could? David Lynch in The Fabelmans. But sadly, that was in 2022, so it's not relevant here. So I'll have to be telling you about my nominees from the film year 2023 for Best Cameo. The nominees are... Oh, also, there's no rules of how many nominees are in each category. I'll have you know.
All right.
The first nominee is Casey Affleck in Oppenheimer. He's only in 2 scenes, so I'm counting that as a cameo. He's very imposing and has just one of the best character introductions where it's him speaking, and you're like, is that Casey Affleck? It is. The next nominee is Bill Hader in Beau is Afraid. He appears in a cameo on the telephone, and you see like the back of his torso for a couple seconds, and it is hilarious. He plays a delivery driver, and I freaking loved it. I can't believe.
Yeah, that was a great scene.
It's incredible. Great job, Bill Hader. The final nominee, I don't know how this is possible, but somehow it's a nominee from television. Somehow John Mulaney crossed over into the Frennies for his performance in the Fishes episode of The Bear.
Incredible.
Who let these rules happen? Me, I did. He deserves to be acknowledged.
He does. Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah, and I guess because of category fraud, we can't choose John Mulaney, and the winner is Bill Hader, but I just think I
would choose John Mulaney.
You're absolutely allowed to choose from my nominees as well. So congrats, Bill and John Mulaney. How'd you do that, John? I don't know. We both know you don't like rules. It's fine. Great job in these cameos this year, guys. Congrats on the winner's best cameo. The next category, some award ceremonies do have this category. It's called Best Ensemble. And it's for when just everyone in the cast is so dang good. And the nominees for Best Ensemble are Oppenheimer, Asteroid City, Killers of the Flower Moon, and Poor Things. Obviously, I selected all of these because I think everyone in those casts was really, really exceptional. And also, a lot of these casts were quite large. So I also took that into account. There were many films that were kind of like 3-handers this year, like May, December, or Past Lives, where all 3 leads were exceptional. But I kind of wanted to give it to more sprawling ensembles. And this was extremely challenging because each of those 4 films had really, really, really good performances in it. But if I had to go pound for pound, I think I have to give it to Oppenheimer. Just everyone was so good and varied, and just the bench was so deep on Oppenheimer performance-wise. So I would give it to them.
Yeah, there's so much interaction between all of those characters as well, which plays into that. I totally agree with that, because they have to work together as a whole a lot, as opposed to like the cast working really well together, but in like distinct groups, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, agreed.
Sweet. I love that category.
Oh, good. The next category I think you'll like as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's Best Animal Acting.
Oh my gosh, yes. I can't wait to hear the nominees.
The nominees are the pigeon from Showing Up, Chaplin the dog from Fallen Leaves, the border terrier from Strays, which, full disclosure, I only watched 5 minutes of that movie, and that dog was really good, though, in the first 5 minutes, so he got nominated on 5 minutes alone. Good for him.
That's a performance.
And Snoop from Anatomy of a Fall, who had the biggest breakthrough animal performance of the year. Mm-hmm. He was incredible. And finally, our final nominee is the owl from Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh.
A striking performance. Mm-hmm. Almost my winner. But honestly, the hype is real. It's undeniable. Snoop from Anatomy of a Fall. What an animal performance. That's our winner. Congrats to Messi the dog.
Congratulations, Messi.
Messi's been everywhere. Deservedly so. You gotta see Snoop in this movie, Kat. It is an incredible animal performance. You must see it. Snoop is so good. I highly recommend it. And I love every second that Messi's on the award circuit.
Oh. That is a great category. I love that.
Do you have a pick for Best Animal Acting?
I haven't seen most of those films. I like the CGI animals from Poor Things.
Oh, the chimeras?
Yeah.
That's fair. I didn't think about them.
Yeah. Goose dog.
Well, there you go.
Duck dog.
Okay, this next category is a doozy. It's quite large, which is why we have no cap on nominee number here at the Frennies. It is the category of Best Dwelling.
Oh.
And it's every place where I wanted to live. Really badly.
Wow. A long list.
It's a long list. I tried to keep it trim. Uh-huh. I think we have like 8 to 10 nominees here.
I think I know one of these that's going to be
You definitely know the one that inspired this category, which is the Dominican Republic house from The Killer.
Yeah.
Where Michael Fassbender lives most of the time. Oh my god, what a home. Incredible. The next nominee is The Writer's Retreat from Past Lives. I would fucking kill to live there and or be at a retreat there. Incredible. I have similar feelings about the next nominee, which is The Vacation Home in A Fire. I mean, who wouldn't want to write a book there? It's great. The next nominee is Ben Wishaw's apartment in Passages. It's just like this really chic French apartment, and it has a lot of great natural lighting. I think you'd like it. It's great. The next nominee is The Chateau in Anatomy of a Fall. I know some bad things have happened there, but I would still absolutely live there in a heartbeat. It's gorgeous, and I love all the built-in aspects of it. Our next nominee is Koji's house in Perfect Days. I was just telling you about this the other week. I love his cozy little spot in his quiet neighborhood. It's wonderful and peaceful, and I loved it. And our final nominee is The French Manor from The Taste of Things, including the garden and surrounding, countryside on the grounds. This is our winner. I really thought it was going to be The House from The Killer until I saw The Taste of Things, and I was like, I could live and die and thrive on this manor, and I'd just be happy for the rest of my days. So,
I feel like Saltburn should be on there too.
Oh, wow. Yes, that is quite a dwelling, isn't it? I think because I didn't have an understanding of the entirety of that castle, I didn't include it. But, you know what? I really love that one room where Felix is giving Barry Keoghan the tour, and they're like walking along the bookshelf and all of the like family relics, and he's like, dead Rellies, Teddy's old Teddy. The room that he's in when he says that is my favorite.
I like that. I love the maze.
Okay, well, you can have a write-in nomination if you want.
Yeah, this is my write-in nomination.
There you go, man. No rules here at the Frennies.
No rules.
Congrats to the Taste of Things.
Congratulations,
for being my winner.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, my next category is called Standout Scene/Sequence. And it was when I thought a specific scene or sequence really stood out in a given film, even if the film was really good, or even if the film wasn't my favorite film. If it had a really standout element, I thought it should be recognized.
I love that category. That's awesome.
The nominees are, and actually I also want to give away a future category for the sake of distinction. I have a best ending category. Oh, okay. And so these are distinct in that standout scene or sequence could not be an ending.
Okay.
Those are all for the ending category. So the nominees in standout scene or sequence are the roof scene in May December, the town hall scene in RMN, I'm Just Ken from Barbie, the gymnasium scene in Oppenheimer, the dinner scene in About Dry Grasses, and the smoke break in Asteroid City.
Yeah.
So that's before the balcony and including the balcony. The whole smoke break. I'm counting as a sequence.
Yeah.
And wow, this was a really, really tough category. I love so many of these. I had a really hard time narrowing it down between like the roof scene and I'm Just Ken and the gymnasium and the smoke break. I'm also still deciding right now in the moment, but I think I have to give it to I'm Just Ken. I mean, what a feeling.
I know. Yeah. Feels good.
Feels good. Feels good. How about you, Kat? Do you have any opinions on this?
Yeah. I don't know. I think that the smoke break was just such a good scene. And the smoke break scene holds a special place in my heart. I think it was one of the most emotional moments in Asteroid City for me, where, what is the lead guy's name in that? Jason Schwartzman plays Augie. Yeah. Yes. Augie and Margot Robbie are on the balconies and they're running their old lines. That always makes me cry. It just makes me very sad and makes me cry. And I love that.
That's definitely my runner-up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Great. Congrats, everyone. Congratulations. Great work.
It's an honor to be nominated.
It's an honor to be nominated, to have you all here tonight. My next category I'm really excited about. I think we gotta have this in all future award shows. It's called Best Side Guy. It's a guy. His role wasn't that big, but man, his impact was huge. The nominees are Jamie Demetrio in Barbie. He just made me laugh every time he got to say a line. Loved him. The Professor in Godzilla -1. He's got a lot of fans. Deservedly so. I'm counting McCandles from Poor Things. I know he kind of had a sizable role, but I think he gets overlooked a lot, and I love him, and so I want him to be here. Teeth from the Royal Hotel. I know you haven't seen it yet, but I think once you see it, you will agree Teeth deserves to be here. And the final nominee and our winner is the Get Your Pencils guy from Killers of the Flower Moon.
I don't remember the Get Your Pencils guy.
He's the guy that says, "Get your pencils." He fucking rocks. His line is my favorite part of the movie. So he's got several lines, but the line where he's being interrogated by the FBI and they're like, "We know you're involved in this. Tell us everything you know. They sold you out." And he's like, "Get your pencils." I'm just like, hell yeah, dude. Let's go.
Do you think that this category could also include the friend character from Oppenheimer that tries to be like a good influence on Oppie?
I would consider David Krumholtz's character in Oppenheimer too major for this role, but I think that is because of the emotional impact he has.
Because in terms of screen time, he's got very little screen time.
Very little, but I consider him major.
Okay.
So, no, he was not considered.
Okay. I like that category. That's a great category.
Thank you.
Guy.
I really enjoyed it.
I love that. The alien.
He could absolutely count. Is he your winner for the best side guy?
Yeah, best
Congratulations
side guy.
to the alien from Asteroid
Jeff
City.
Goldblum.
/ Jeff Goldblum. Our next category is best ending. I already explained.
Yeah.
When a film had a very standout ending.
Mm-hmm.
The nominees are RMN, Killers of the Flower Moon, Eileen, The Zone of Interest, and The Iron Claw.
Oh.
The Iron Claw ending, wow, absolute 10 out of 10 knockout every time. You're gonna cry. Just so you know.
Oh no.
But my winner for this category, oh god, this is so tough. It's definitely between Killers of the Flower Moon and Zone of Interest. They're both extremely good. I think it's going to have to be a tie because I think the ending of Zone of Interest is just so much to think about and is a conclusion that I was not expecting. And I feel a very similar way to the end of Killers of the Flower Moon because the conclusion of Killers of the Flower Moon just stunned me, and it was such a bold choice, and for that I think it deserves recognition. So congrats to both. Alright, we've arrived at our final category.
Oh boy.
It is time to crown our hater of the year. These
Not
are the
Bill
people.
Hader.
No, hater with a T. These are the dudes out there just like throwing heat, just hating on our people in our movies. They were the characters that all they did was hate on other people. And wow, did they really do it. Our first nominee is Monk from American Fiction. This kind of doesn't count because he's the main character, but I mean, he hates on a lot of people. He's got a lot to complain about. So, Monk, you're here. The next nominee is Jason Clarke in Oppenheimer. He's the not officially prosecutor in the hearing, but for all intents and purposes, Jason Clarke is a prosecutor, and he's really hating on Oppie, so he's obviously got to be in this category.
Yeah, that guy sucks.
Our next hater, also from Oppenheimer, it's Robert Downey Jr. in the third act, when you find out he's a hater.
Yeah, but
Spoiler
he was a hater
alert.
all along.
He was a hater all along. Oh my god, how could you be more of a hater than Jason Clarke by being a secret hater?
Yeah.
All along.
Yeah.
Good job, Robert Downey Jr. Huge hater. I was like, no one's gonna top these guys in Oppenheimer, hater-wise, this year. But then I saw Anatomy of a Fall, and I learned about French court, and I saw the prosecutor in Anatomy of a Fall, and I was like, this guy is such a fucking hater. Holy shit, he sucks so bad. He was so unreasonably mean. A huge hater. And I was like, okay, obviously the prosecutor from Anatomy of a Fall is our hater of the year. And then I went and saw a little film called Eileen, and I was introduced.
Oh no. Sorry, I just knocked over my drink. Okay.
You got so excited because you know what I'm going to say. Yeah. I was introduced to the hater of the year. It's Shea Wiggum as Eileen's dad in Eileen. The crowd goes wild. Whoa. He did it, everybody. He is absolutely the hater of the year. Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, man, that guy was something.
Great job, Shea Wiggum, Eileen's dad. Yell at me any day of the week. He's our hater of the year. Congrats to all of the winners at our inaugural Frennies.
Woo! Woo! Thank you for putting that together.
You're welcome.
Those categories were fantastic.
Yes, if the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences would like to get in touch with me to incorporate these categories into their award show next season, I'd be happy to collaborate. Thanks for joining us this week on Frenn Diagram. Thank you to Tyler Seek for the creation of our intro and outro music. Did you take any of our recommendations? Have any thoughts on the show? Let us know at frienddiagrampod@gmail.com, and we might read your email on a future episode. If you can, please take a moment to rate and review the show on your podcast app of choice, and we'll see you back here, same place next week. Bye for now.